go.
What's going on, guys? My name is Jesse and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing our Rogue One review. I'm here with my brother again. Justin, say what's up.
What's up, guys? Glad to be back.
Yeah, another dual review. This is going to be awesome. We're going to do a quick non-spoiler review, and then it's going to be really spoiler heavy. It's going to be a long-ass video, so let's just jump in. We're going to do a Star Wars rating from worst to best, all the movies including Rogue One and Force Awakens. Justin, you want to take it off?
Yeah, sure. Definitely gonna start with the prequels, unfortunately. I went 2, 1, 3. I didn't think 1 was just as bad as 2, but they weren't the greatest. 3's higher than the rest, just I like the fighting scenes in it, as well as same with 1 for those reasons.
Right.
Then I went right into the original trilogy. I went 5, 4, 6. I really enjoyed A New Hope, and I really enjoyed 6, but 5 was kind of slow for me. And in the top of the list, I have Rogue One and then 7. I think that Force Awakens was just amazing. I think that it was a great step back into what Star Wars really is, and that really puts a lot for me.
Yeah, I loved it. I like your list. There's going to be some fighting words in the comments for sure, but mine's pretty similar to that. Mine's going to be the similar at the beginning. I have 2, 1, 3, which is the same as you, and then I go into 6, Rogue One, 5, 4, 7. That's my list right there. I think Rogue One's great, but I don't think it's as good as Empire Strikes Back or as A New Hope. But I think they go together because they're basically right before each other. And then I think 7's the best Star Wars movie to ever come out at the time being. These lists will change one day, I'm sure. When the next Star Wars movie comes out, we'll do another video and we'll redo the list, since you guys are going to trash us in the comments anyways. Other than that, I think the rest of this is going to be pretty spoiler heavy, so if you haven't seen the movie, go watch it. It's a great movie. I can't wait to see it again. I think it's incredible. It's definitely one of the best Star Wars movies to ever come out, without a doubt.
Absolutely.
Alright, let's jump right into it. What did you think about Jyn Erso, Justin?
Oh, I think she's a great lead character. I think that watching her character evolve from that little kid and how living away from her parents after the tragedy that happened in the beginning of the film really showed that Jyn wasn't this weak female protagonist character. She's a strong role.
Yeah.
She's not just going to sit back and let what people would consider a normal role hold her down. She's going to play that hard set, rough character.
Yeah, she's a super strong female lead, which is awesome. This is the second Star Wars movie in a row to have a strong female lead as the actual lead. I mean, you could count Leia, but she's not. She's just a tertiary character. She's not the lead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Jyn Erso a lot as well. I think Felicity Jones plays her really well. I have a couple of complaints that we'll get into a little bit later, just with some of the cuts that happen in the movie. There's some lines in the trailer that I really wanted to see, like this is a rebellion, I rebel. I really wanted to see that, and I thought it was going to be in the big meeting scene, but it wasn't there, so I was pretty disappointed about that. But that's just movie cuts that she can't blame her for that, you know.
Nah, it's totally her fault, man.
Yeah, 100%. Also, I really enjoyed Mads Mikkelsen's performance as Galen Erso. I thought he was great in Doctor Strange, and I think he's really good. And that's like polar opposite roles right there from Doctor Strange, evil main villain, versus the lead character who is portrayed as a villain, but he's actually the hero in this story.
Yeah, I feel like with how Galen's portrayed, he does a really good job of getting a lot of feeling and invoking a lot of emotion out of what little lines he gets.
Barely any screen time, and you love him, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's awesome. I love the scene when they're at Saw Gerrera and you get the holo vid, and it's a big exposition dump of why we get the flaw in the Death Star, which is what a loose end to tie up, right? Where we always had the one complaint about A New Hope was, why would you build this big space station and it have this flaw that's so easily exploitative? And you get this great scene with Mads Mikkelsen saying, well, I sewed it into the system here. They were going to build it without me, so I made myself invaluable, and I built this in where they would not see it coming. What'd you think about that?
Yeah, I think this once again goes to how great of an actor he was and how well he played this role, to where you could really feel the emotion behind it and the struggle that he had to go through
Right.
to make this choice to willingly lie in the face of death to make this work for the rebellion.
Right. And then, well, not to mention Felicity Jones' performance, where she sees her father, she hasn't seen him in so long, and you get the fall in my scene. I think it's a really cliched scene, but it's handled so well that it's really enjoyable.
Yeah, I agree. It's very cliche, but I feel like it's just needed in the film,
Yeah.
and I feel like it just gelled really well with what they were doing.
Yeah, no, it goes super good. Let's talk about the beginning scene a little bit because it's pretty separate to the rest of the movie. What'd you think about the first 10 or 15 minutes of the film?
Well, I definitely like how it gives you a lot of prelude to what's going to happen, and I feel like that's really important in the first 15 minutes, that you should meet characters that are going to be big impact characters later in the film, even if they're not the main characters. Like, of course, you meet Jyn Erso. Jyn Erso's going to be through the film the entire way, but you also meet Saw Gerrera, you also meet Galen Erso.
Yeah.
You meet people that are going to be big later on, and you can already tell these people are going to be impacting.
Yeah. And you also get the feeling, it leads you in the direction that Orson Krennic, who is the leader behind the Death Star build, and Mads Mikkelsen's character, how they have already been partners before, and obviously they thought that maybe he didn't need him anymore, or something of that nature. Obviously, it's not explained, but you're definitely led in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I just feel like we really get a good look into the choices that Krennic makes throughout this movie, and really the hubris,
Right.
and how he lets things get so ahead of themselves for him, and it really leads to his downfall and downfall of the Death Star.
Right. Well, that, and he's so power hungry, he just wants to work his way up the ladder, and he sees the Death Star as his ticket.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And that we'll probably talk about a little bit later with Vader, but I just feel like that it all started from that first scene where he just chose to bring Galen back no matter what.
Right.
Even after killing his wife, you know? That's gonna leave a bad taste in anyone's mouth.
Right, but they needed him, though. Like, it's not like they needed him to get the crystal, the kyber crystals to work, and I think once he got to the point where the kyber crystals work, then they didn't need him anymore, and I think that's what he was referencing in the holovid.
Mm-hmm. I just feel like they let him overstay his welcome.
Yeah.
Because he did defect once.
Oh, yeah,
Why
for
did
sure.
they put so much faith into him after?
Right.
And I feel like that's just part of how Krennic trusted in his own power too much.
Right.
And looked too far into the future without looking at what's right in front of him.
I also think that it's a little understated, but I think that Orson Krennic, like, really likes Galen Erso, and maybe that there was a friendship before, and he thinks that after his wife is gone and his daughter is gone, that maybe they're starting to spark that friendship again, maybe, even though Galen Erso the whole time is playing him, maybe?
I didn't catch that, but I can see how you came to that.
Yeah. I think it's a leap, but I think you could make that leap.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, let's jump into when they save Jyn Erso. She's obviously in some kind of work prison camp thing going on, and we get the great scene where the rebellion breaks her out, and then she beats the shit out of these dudes, and then you get the introduction of K2SO, who is probably one of the best characters to ever grace Star Wars, right?
Oh my god, he's such a great character. But taking a step back from K2, it talks so much to Jin's character development, in that she doesn't trust anyone. You know,
Right.
Why are you breaking me out? What do you want from me?
Yeah.
I don't want to work for anyone. I don't want to be anybody's
Right.
person.
Well, she's a nihilist, right? She doesn't believe in anything.
Yeah. Yeah,
All she believes is self-preservation. Like, she doesn't even go by the same name.
exactly.
Yeah. But you do get the introduction to K2SO and Alan Tudyk. What do you think about his character?
I just think it's such a refreshing look into another talking robot character. Like, it reminded me so much of C-3PO, and it just made me feel so good inside to get this character that could joke and to be so lighthearted,
Right.
and at the same time be so kick-ass and be so different from the rest of the cast.
Right. And this isn't the first robot that Alan Tudyk played, right? He was Sonny in iRobot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not like he wasn't experienced with this sort of role, but this is like a real victory here. This is a performance you put up on your shelf here, because at first I really wasn't feeling him because I thought it was just a little too jokey for the tone of the movie, which we'll talk about here in a second. But it really, it is a nice break from the overall arcing turmoil theme in the movie.
Mm-hmm. And I just feel like I get what you're saying with that lightheartedness. We'll talk about it a bit more in a second, but I just feel like you have that underlying theme in all of the good Star Wars films.
Yeah.
In the prequels, in 7, in Rogue One. You have that lighthearted comedy. You have that one character that's going to make those jokes and is going to be there to break the tension.
Yeah.
And I feel like H2SO was definitely that one in this movie, but we had a few others, and that's where it definitely get to be a little watered down.
Yeah. And we'll talk about it some more. He really grew on me after, especially the first scene I thought was really great when he like grabs her and he goes, "Congratulations, you're being rescued," or whatever. I thought that was hilarious. I'm not gonna lie. But when we got to the point where, and we'll talk about it a little bit more once we get there, but when we get to the scene where Diego Luna is taking Jyn Erso on the ship, and he's just like a real attitude-y, sassy droid, right? He just says whatever he wants to. And even though it was hilarious, it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way with the pacing of the movie at that point. I mean, it was getting slow, and then there was just this really lighthearted, Marvel-y feel. I think you turned to me around that scene and said to me, "Man, this feels like a Marvel movie," right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of what movies these days are going to, is that instead of the breaks from action going into good exposition, the breaks in action are just going into comedy, and they're just going back and forth on these spectrums.
Right. Yeah. And, yeah, I totally agree. I just think that, he grew on me as we go, but that's just kind of where it was at that part of the film. Now, let's talk about Diego Luna's character. Cassian, is that his name?
Yeah, Cassian.
Man, what a mixed character. Maybe the only character that has a proper arc in the film, because he goes from will do anything for the rebellion and doesn't really care how dirty it is to not pulling the trigger on Galen Erso.
Mm-hmm. I'm really glad you bring that up, because it's just like, it was so hard to get a read on Cassian throughout the movie until the very end, when they're climbing up to get the memory disk that has the Project Stardust on it.
Right. That
you really feel like he has changed his ways.
Yeah.
Because it was just hard to read what kind of person he was going to be. If he's going to turn on them when they get there, is he still going to be for the rebellion?
Right. Well, it's not even that. It's more like in the original series, we get a very squeaky clean image of the rebellion, when really there was this murky undertone stuff where there's guys who are doing stuff that maybe they don't agree with, but they need to do it to keep the rebellion going, right? Like when we get that scene in the beginning when we first meet him, and it really unsettles you, like, yeah, this guy's a protagonist and he just shot this other guy in the back to survive, and we're just like, well, I don't really know about this guy right now,
And even worse, it wasn't even just to survive. It was the mere fear that this guy could be captured and interrogated for his information.
Right.
He was a loose end for the rebellion.
Yeah, and he just tied his ass up real quick,
Yeah.
Let's kind of move forward here in the plot a little bit and talk about Donnie Yen's character.
Oh my God, Ip Man.
Ip Man.
Donnie Yen is amazing.
Yeah, he's incredible.
I just feel like I'm so happy that I got to see him in this character.
Yeah.
And it just puts to light just how amazing he was as a character, because I don't know about you, but on my end, I didn't even know he spoke English at this point.
No, he had a couple of blockbuster films here in America as well, but yeah.
So I was really immersed into the character and how lighthearted he was. Not just comedic, but just lighthearted.
Right.
He was such a great pull towards the lighter side of the Force for me. And it was for someone that isn't really a Jedi. He's just Force sensitive. He's just a protector of the temple.
Well, there's a big debate going on right now, and I don't see how there could be a debate, because to me it's obvious that he is Force sensitive. I mean, we have the one line where they're on the ship and they land at Galen Erso's main base, and he says, "Does he have the face of a killer because the Force around him says he's about to kill," right? And like, come on, man, that's like right in your face. He's Force sensitive.
Well, they also say it when you first get to Jeddah. that the old protectors of this land, of the Jedi Temple, were all Force sensitive,
Right.
and he's one of the old
Yep.
protectors.
Well, you also get the. I mean, he's blind, and he senses that Jyn Erso has the Kyber crystal, and that's what leads um, the first lines of what he says is like, "I believe in the Force, and you are the Force," or whatever. And then that's when he says, "Yes, I'm talking to you," and that's how you kind of get an idea. And well, he's blind, but he's got to be Force sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think there's no argument there. And then, what's the other guy's name here? Let's look it up real quick.
Malbus?
Jing Win, Baze Malbus, yeah.
Yeah.
How cool is that guy's fucking character, right? Man of little words, but clearly a brotherhood bond there, right?
I was really happy to see a Mandalorian
Yeah.
fighter in this movie,
Right.
because it really puts to light the differences between each different faction and each different character and how they were raised. You see the Jedi side with oh god, I can't remember his name. Donnie Yen's character.
Here, I'll pull it up real quick.
Thank you.
Chirrut Imwe.
Cheer it. Thank you. Cheer it. And you get that lighter side where he's so fighting he's fighting smoothly. Like, he fights without fear because he knows the Fourth is with him, and
Right.
if it's his time to go, it's his time to go. Whereas Mandalorians, they fight in a similar way, but it's more brute force, where I'm not going to die until you put me down. I want you to put me down.
Yeah,
So he's just moving forward and killing everything in sight.
yeah. Well, let's keep it going too. I mean, I love those two characters, and they have an unspoken brotherhood bond that you can feel without very much exposition needed, and I think that's a really cool setup of the movie. Let's talk about Saw Gerrera's character. He's basically the left wing nut, right?
Yeah, basically.
Right. So he's got his own little faction of warriors, and the spark, the catalyst of the movie, no pun intended, is Bodhi Rook. He's the pilot that defects from the Empire.
Yeah, and Bodhi is sent out by Galen Erso to go find Saw Gerrera,
Right.
and give him the plans for the Death Star, and to give him not the plan necessarily. Oh, it doesn't have the plans on it?
It doesn't
I
have
don't
the
think
plans on it. It just has the
Just has the
the
hologram.
location of the plans, and
Yeah.
also gives them the proof that you need to get these plans because I built this shit in here, right? And Saw
Yeah.
Gerrera is really paranoid at the beginning, correct?
Well, I think everyone is. It's just that whole idea that Galen Erso built the Death Star. He's not one of us.
Right.
No one sees this other side of him except for the people that actually heard it. And even Saw Gerrera, like I said, that heard the hologram, did not believe Galen.
Yeah.
He still is the one that built this. He stayed with them for that long.
Right. And you
How
get
can you still be a rebellion?
Yeah, exactly. And you get a little exposition cram in there when Jyn Erso gets there, and you can tell they have a very long history. Like, obviously, she was with him from 6 to at least 16, because she says, "You left me
Yeah.
at the trench when I was 16," and you're like, "Hey, you're the best warrior I had." You know, you get that kind of exposition jump, but I think that's a really nice insight into, maybe what had happened with her and Saw Gerrera.
And I feel like Forrest Whitaker really played this role well, as someone that has been through so many different fights and so many battles that it has just fried his brain. He
Yeah.
has slowly fought himself into the state where he doesn't know anything else. Everyone is an enemy, everyone's a traitor, and he doesn't know who to trust.
Yeah.
And then it goes back to that whole interrogation scene where he's using the thing that makes you go insane.
Yeah, I don't
And he's
really.
used it on himself.
I feel like that scene's not needed. I feel like it's pretty extraneous. I mean, I understand that Forrest Whitaker, Saw Gerrera's character, is obviously very paranoid, and we need to find out that this is facts, and, okay, I'm cool with it, but I feel like he could have just left him in the cell, and everything would have played out the same either way.
I agree. I feel like it was more to build tension behind whether or not Saw Gerrera was going to welcome
Right.
Jyn Erso back, because he was so paranoid.
Yeah. Yep.
I think they were just trying to push that as hard as they could.
Yeah, I really like the scene you get right after that when the Death Star gets its kind of first test and it blows up the city, and we get that escape from the carnage. I thought that CGI just looked incredible.
Oh, the CGI in this movie was great.
Yeah.
I mean, you could talk about that for days.
Yeah, you really could. So right after the scene with Saw Gerrera, you get the really Han Solo type line from Diego Luna, where they're in the starship and they're getting ready to leave the planet, but they have to leave right away. And K2SO goes, I haven't done my calculations," and you get that really cool line from Cassian that says like, "I'll do them for you," and they jump into hyperspace. I thought that was really Han Solo-esque.
I agree, and it just really puts to light the fact that not everyone in the Star Wars universe, not every character, is thinking everything out, and some people are just acting on instinct without use of the Force.
Right.
And I think it was a really nice touch.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. And then you get to the Rebel base, and we meet Mon Mothma, and we get to have the big discussion from all the leaders. And you turned to me and asked me if that was the original Mon Mothma, and it turns out it's not. It's actually a younger actress that looks very similar to her.
Okay.
Yeah.
I believe it's still the same one that played in episode 3, though, correct?
I don't think so. Let me double check. I thought I saw it on a...
I believe it's still the same one from episode 3.
Yeah, still the same one from episode 3.
Okay.
No.
I'll live with that.
Okay.
But I really like that scene of the board meeting. I felt like it really put to light just how much of a risk this was.
Right.
You know, they don't really give it justice in episode 4, and you know, how could they? In talking about just how difficult this was to get these plans, and just how big of a deal this was.
Right.
You know, this was do or die. You either get the plans or you fade away into existence. The Empire is going to shut you down in one way or another.
Right. It adds levity, I agree, but I feel like this is where the film slows down a little bit, because, I mean, the pacing in this movie is kind of hit and miss. I mean, the first 30 to 40 minutes before you get to Saw Gerrera is really kind of slow, and then you get to Saw Gerrera and it speeds up, and then you get to this board meeting and it just slows down, and then the next hour of the film is just breakneck pace the rest of the way. What do you think?
I agree with you in some parts. Towards the end, I definitely agree with the pacing didn't really slow back down as it should have. But I feel like nowadays, most movies, it is good to have those pacing changes, to have the exposition in between. We talked about that, how they have more comedy-sided instead of the exposition nowadays. But they have really good exposition there after the Saw Gerrera scene with Jeddah, and they go into the actual meeting and deciding what they want to do moving forward. And I feel like that's really good to give you some more looks into what's happening.
Yeah, I agree. I just feel like that scene is drawn out maybe a little too much, but, you know, I guess it's a matter of opinion here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really do enjoy the scene where you get Diego Luna going, "I believe you," and he's got all the pilots behind him. That's a real goosebumpy type scene that you get. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, and it's just it was hard for me to take in because, you know, you've seen it multiple times now where he's said things that he didn't necessarily mean, and that's what I was talking about before with Cassian as a character, in that I didn't see him as actually believing her at this point. I saw him as being someone following her from the general's word.
Yeah.
And going forward, making sure that he's doing whatever is best for the rebellion at the end of the day.
Yeah,
But no, it definitely was his actual character he was doing the right thing. He was following her.
I think he was doing the right thing there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really like that scene. Is, you know, it's and then you get to the planet, and we have a really kind of heisty movie type feel for that, and it's kind of refreshing to have a Star Wars movie where it's more, you know, it's more of a heist type movie that last hour.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that the movie really sets the tone for side stories going forward with how much they threw into it towards the end there.
Yeah.
They gave you everything. Any question you had from episode 4, any filler that could have been left as a loophole, they patched it all up. No one lived to ask why aren't you in episode 4?
Yeah, we'll talk about that at the end of this, because I do think that kind of sucks. Even though it has to happen, it bothers me a little bit. Let's talk about Orson Krennic visiting Darth Vader at the Temple of Doom, where he fought Obi-Wan.
So that is the place.
That is the place that he fought Obi-Wan, yeah.
Which I think is very cool, and it really speaks volumes to where Darth Vader or Anakin is at mentally at this point.
Right.
That he is still that immature, emotional person at the end of the day, that he had to hold the place where he lost as his place that he's going to meditate and he's going to actually use to build his power.
Right, and that's kind of where, that's what I think is happening, is where he's using that as a way to feast on the dark side, as remembering where he got beat, right, essentially.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, so
And
I think that's
I feel
really
like
cool.
that's something I really liked it. I really liked that forced choke scene.
Yeah.
Where he tells Krennic not to choke on his ambition.
Yeah.
Because it really speaks volumes to how Krennic was. And I think it was a very good, cheeky little line that he added as a way to show the force choke
and
that
to
everyone
hear
loved.
James Earl Jones as Darth Vader, I mean, that's just kind of, how can you not like that? I hear so many people like complaining about it because it's a pun, but I don't give a shit, dude. That line is awesome. And the force choke is great.
It gives so much back to episode 4 when you see the force chokes then from Vader, and it gave them a reason to do it. Because if he just chokes him and walks away, you're kind of like, okay, why did you do that? Whatever. He adds that line, gets Krennic to understand that who is in charge here. Who are you speaking to?
Let's talk about the CGI Tarkin real quick for a quick second. We'll talk about CGI Leia at the end of this as well. What did you think about it?
Well, I really liked Tarkin as a character. I really felt like they did him a lot of justice, Peter Cushing justice.
Yeah.
And in all honesty, you look at how Tarkin was used, and the only reason you know that's AI and that's actual animation there is because of how much screen time he got. And that just gives so much credit to the animators and how good they did.
Right.
Because you look at Leia, and Leia looked real. And the only reason Leia looked real is because you didn't get 5 minutes to stare at her like you do for Tarkin.
Right. Yeah. No. Exactly. And there's a big debate going on online right now about it's disrespectful to have an actor who's passed away and that you don't need him in this movie. And that's where I really disagree. You need Tarkin in this movie because he is the guy who takes over the Death Star. He is the you're ready to fire guy, you know, and you need him in this movie. And I think he gets a little screen time, but it's not. You need him in all of those scenes.
I agree. And how can you say you're not doing him just so you're doing him disservice by doing that? When you're saying that you were so
important,
unique and so important that we needed to bring you back from the grave for this film.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think it's exciting, really.
Absolutely. And didn't they even ask his living family relatives?
Yeah, I think they got
before permission.
Yeah,
to even do it.
Yeah, I think so. I think they even paid them, or they gave them some kind of portion or something like that, just to just to kind of you know, do the right thing. Let's keep going here. Let's talk about going through the big planet shield, and when the rebellion starts to bring all the ships in.
Yeah, I think that it's a very slow snail's pace crawl when they're going through the shield, and there's so much tension of, you know, when are they going to get found out?
Right.
And I feel like it builds tension, but I didn't feel like I ever, you know, let that tension go. I never got that release of, you know, it finally hit. You know, that big blow up scene wasn't really enough for me with all the weight you had.
Yeah, I kind of agree and I kind of disagree. I thought it was exciting to see the pilots dive into the shield while it's starting to close. That's really awesome. And then you get that scene where the guy blows up the AT-AT and he's just like smiling and shit. And that just like, that gave me the goosebumps so hard. I thought that was the equivalent to the scene when Rey grabs the lightsaber in Force Awakens. That's I got that same feeling when we got the fighter pilot flying through and blowing up the AT-AT.
I feel like it was a really good. No, I absolutely agree with you. I'll take back what I said. I'll admit I was wrong. No, that's a really good point.
Yeah, and then the other thing is there's like 3 or 4 pilots from the original New Hope that they recycled some of that. That's awesome. Shout out to those guys for coming up with something that's that genius. You know, like you have to have them in there. They were in the New Hope. They were fighter pilots. You know. Yeah, that's awesome. It's
the little touches that make this come home as just how close this was to episode 4.
Right, and then you have the line where it's like, Red 5, be careful, and then he blows up, which leaves the spot open for Luke to be Red 5 in A New Hope, which is awesome as well. I just thought all that stuff was really respectfully handled.
Yeah, I really agree. I feel like they were really touchy with what they could and couldn't use, and they did the very most with it, and it really showed.
Yeah, and then we get the scenes with Jyn Erso and Cassian going up the big tower-like structure trying to get the Death Star plans, which is really exciting with K2SO. Those are all really fun scenes. We get to see K2SO kick some serious ass. I really had a great time with that.
He did. It was amazing. And it just really put so much more emphasis into what kind of character this was. This was a free-spirited guy. He did what he wanted.
Yeah.
Like, I jokingly said to you that K2 did not have a script for this movie. Like, they gave him full credit to just do whatever he wanted.
Yeah, and you get some real humanizing moments with him when Jyn gives him the blaster, and you get the line where he's like, you keep surprising me, and I thought that was really great. Then you get the scene where he's about to die, and he's locking the door, and it's kind of slow, but it's really a good burn that I like. Get the K2SO death scene.
Definitely, and it really gave an emotional feeling to a mechanical character.
Right.
And I feel like that's a really nice touch, to be able to put so much emotions into someone, to feel for K2SO when he dropped.
Yeah, and major credit to Alan Tudyk, man. He killed that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I love the scene of Diego Luna and Felicity Jones climbing up the tower trying to get the Death Star plans. That's really fun. And then you get Krennic trying to shoot them at this very convenient door that's to the right by them. And then you think that Diego Luna falls to his death, but he's actually alive.
Yeah, I'm just kind of curious as to how he's able to climb up that after he just fainted, but
because he's Diego Luna, man.
Just because Cassian's a fucking badass,
I don't really want to get into all the cuts of the movie. I don't really care too much. I would have liked to see some of the stuff that was in the trailer, but it doesn't bother me too much. I like the scene where we're on the catwalk type thing, and she's trying to load the plans up to the rebellion.
Uh-huh.
I think that's a fun scene. The only gripe I have with it is when Krennic gets up there and it's almost like a role reversal where she's like monologuing to him about her great plan of, sending the plans up, like, yeah, what is going on here, man? And then Diego Luna saves the day, which is awesome. I don't have any problems with that.
Yeah, I feel like, even watching it, you knew he was going to die. You knew that he's not going to stop her.
Right.
It was one of those scenes that was kind of force-fed as a monologuing scene for exposition.
Yeah.
But, I still feel like they did it justice and that they did the best way that they could.
Right. And then you get this super fun hammerhead ship bullshit that I've never seen before that rams into one Star Destroyer and pushes it into another Star Destroyer. How fucking awesome is that, dude?
And just on the fly where he just calls it like,
yeah, bring in the hammerhead! Like, yes, dude, that's awesome. Yeah, I thought that was a lot of fun.
That pilot's shitting himself.
Yeah.
Like, what does he mean? Hit him with, fly into him, go!
And this is where the movie winds down, and you think the movie's about to end, right? And we get to these scenes where it's over, Diego Luna's gonna die, Felicity Jones is gonna die, everybody's gonna die, and you see Darth Vader, and it's really dark, and you're like, dude, they're gonna cut it right here. They're just gonna cut the movie right here, and we're not gonna see anything. And then he sparks the lightsaber. Okay, they're gonna cut it right here. And then we see him kick ass, and you're like, they're not going to cut it. They're going to show me all this. This is awesome, That's such a fun scene.
And, and let me ask you this, maybe you know better than I. Did they say before the movie officially came out that it was going to, like, how close it's going to come to when Episode 4 begins?
No, nobody knew until the actual release of the movie, and then they came out and said it's 6 minutes before New Hope.
See, I didn't know it was 6 minutes before, so I honestly thought it's a stop there. They have a few weeks before they capture it. They're traveling through space. No, this shit happens right now.
Right.
Like, there's debris flying behind Leia's ship.
Yeah, it's so awesome. And then you see there's another one of those moments where Darth Vader sees the ship go away before we see Leia, and you're like, okay, it's over now. But then they give us the Leia scene, and I just love that scene. I love seeing Leia again. I thought that was just awesome. That's incredible. That's fan service as best as fan service gets.
Absolutely. And like I said before, like the animation is so good. It was so well made. that the short times, like the short scene that she had showing her face, she looked real.
Yeah.
She looked more real than she did in episode 4.
That's the thing I'm most looking forward to seeing again, is seeing the ending of the film with Darth Vader and seeing Leia again. I just want to see that again so bad.
I kind of just want to I want to get some editing done and just buy the DVD for Rogue One, and then play it, and then as soon as the credits start for episode 7, start episode 4.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
And
you
just
got
see
New
how
Hope right
good
away,
that
right
is.
after Rogue One.
Yeah.
Well, that'll wrap
See
it
how
up
good
for
that
us
is.
right here today. We're definitely going to go see the movie again. It's an incredible film. If you haven't seen it, go see it. Follow us both on Twitter. Links in the description below. And we'll catch you in the next one. Later.
Yeah.